Cliches. They come in many forms, such as the "it was all a dream" ending, to the cold open, put me to the homage, to the flashbacks, and of course, another name for these is tropes. And that's what this series is going to be about. Welcome to the pilot episode of the Trope Show. The show where I'm going to talk about tropes, obviously. And where better to start than the trope of... Hey guys, happy Halloween and welcome to the actual Halloween special of the Trope Show. Now, I know you would have thought the previous episode would have been that, but no. As I said at the end of the last episode, we're going to be talking about horror tropes for the actual Halloween special. So, there's quite a few different categories of tropes to talk about. Let's talk about masked killers first. Okay, so under this category, we have the likes of the Ghostface Killer from Scream. Or Ghostface Killers in the case of most of the films. Some of the characters in the costume over the series have been Billy Loomis and Stu Macher from the first film, Mickey Altieri and Debbie Salt, aka Nancy Loomis, another Loomis, from the second film, Roman Bridger in the third film, Jill Carpenter, no. Well, yeah, okay, Jill, Sydney's cousin in the fourth. Okay, you get the picture. Michael Myers from the Halloween franchise. Jason Voorhees from most of the Friday the 13th films. And why do I say most? Because he's not the killer in the first film. No, he is not. Okay. I'm sure I've missed some masked killers out. If I have, please let me know. Our next category of horror tropes is zombies. And films that give us examples of this trope, well, the obvious examples of these films are the George Romero Dead films. Yeah, the classic example there. You know, the films that start with Night of the Living Dead in 1968 and end with Survival of the Dead in, I think that was 2014 or 2015. Correct me if I'm wrong. And other examples of zombie films, we have a comedic take on them with a couple of comedic takes on them, really. We have Brain Dead or Dead Alive. Yeah. And then we have the Return of the Living Dead films. And back to the more serious side on the Italian now, we have the zombie films or zombie flesh eaters. Okay, vampires is our next category. And there's, well, literally hundreds of vampire films. But the most prominent fictional vampire is Count Dracula. And, well, again, he's been in more than 200 films over the years. From the 1922 silent classic Nosferatu, all the way up to a few contemporary installments or contemporary reimaginings. But the most famous one is the Universal horror version, played by Bela Lugosi, 1931. Other vampires in horror we would have seen since Dracula would be the vampires in From Dusk Till Dawn. It's not strictly horror per se, but Blade is a half vampire and he's a vampire hunter. So it's not really fair to include him, really, is it? So, whoops. Um, of course, we do have vampires from non-horror material as well. But where they're from non-horror material, I don't think it's really fair to include them here because this is horror tropes. So, okay. So far we've done masked killers, zombies, and vampires. What about werewolves? Aha, yes. The main werewolf here would be the Wolfman. The main example. He's played by Lon Chaney Jr. in the classic 1941 film. And it was the only Wolfman film, or was it? He appeared in some crossover films as well in the 1940s. And there are some contemporary retellings of that story as well. But other than that, what other films do we know that have werewolves as actual monsters? Blood and Chocolate? I guess that'd be werewolves and vampires though, wouldn't it? I'm not gonna count Wolf because that's just a remake of the Wolfman. Okay. What about Killer Dolls? Ah, classic horror trope now. But what started the Killer Doll craze? Well, in terms of films, Chucky is the main example of a Killer Doll horror film. But also, we have the likes of Dolly Dearest, which is about a female killer doll. And Annabelle from the Conjuring universe. I bet you thought I wasn't going to mention her, but yep, I did. Okay. I guess that segues nicely into demons then. Okay. And straight up with some more Conjuring demons, we have Malthus, who's actually the demon who was possessing the Annabelle doll in The Conjuring. And we also have Bathsheba. And, well, Valak from The Nun. And The Conjuring, obviously. And then we have a very good version of the La Llorona in that universe as well. So... And the Crooked Man's just the ghost of an old man that used to live in the Hodgson family's home before The Conjuring. So we're not going to count him. Okay. So what about Devil Spawn? Well, in serious horror, there's only 2 examples. Damien Thorne from the Omen films and Rosemary's Baby. So... yeah. Not very many, is it? Okay. Okay. So what about monsters then, based on actual folklore and legends that are not vampires? Where does Frankenstein's monster fit into this? Well, he's just a monster stitched together with dead body parts and brought back to life by electricity. Created by a mad scientist. So... and they're a whole thing unto themselves, mad scientists in horror. So... and there are so many different versions of Frankenstein that have been done over the years. The weirdest of which would be Frankenstein's army. Yeah, I'm not kidding, that does exist. Okay. Supernatural forces, where they're not personified. The best example of that is the Final Destination series. And anything ghosty. Or, yeah, so the likes of The Ring or Ringu with Sadeko and Ju-on The Grudge with Kayako. So... and yeah. Also, when we Killer Dolls, well, I should have counted this before. Puppets should have to count in with that. And Killer Puppets, no less. So that would mean the Puppet Master films, yeah. So, of course, there's also comedy horror, which could factor into this. And, well, that's not horror that's meant to be taken seriously. The best comedy horror villain. Well, there are 2 of them. One I should have counted in with the demons. There's Freddy Krueger. Yes, Freddy Krueger from The Nightmare on Elm Street. A wisecracking dream demon. Who kills people in their dreams and then they die the same way in real life. Okay. Well, yeah. And then the leprechaun played by Warwick Davis in the original films. Wow. And of course, shows like South Park and The Simpsons play these tropes completely for laughs. Like, the whole first Halloween episode of South Park was about a zombie outbreak. And it was played super for laughs. So, then South Park is an animated comedy, so that's to be expected. And in Adventure Time, one of the main characters is a vampire queen. But where that's a kid's show, she doesn't go biting people. So, or drinking their blood. And then in Buffy, we have the likes of Angel, the vampire with a soul, and his polar opposite, Spike, and a whole host of other vampires. And there's a werewolf in there too. Oz. Anyway. And a Frankenstein monster, but they call him Adam. Okay. So now, guys, I think we talked about horror tropes long enough. I know there are other tropes that I haven't covered, such as haunted houses and ghosts in general. Well, I kind of have covered that one. But that's it for Halloween on the Trope Show. That's right. So next time, it's being November, we get back into some normal trope topics. And I'm actually going to talk about comedy tropes next. So that's next time. Until then, though, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Happy Halloween once again. And have us a magical time.